يوم نعيم لكل أدميم طبيم إيش حزو فيديو أزي إشلي إيش بعلتي وشلحتي لخم بيراح زبح شمش بشنات 2020 مشش لأدوننو يشوع همشيح. The video title is A Phoenician Inscription from Lapethos, Lapta, Cyprus, dating back to the year 275 BC, KAI-43, from the Ptolemaic period in Cyprus. This is a sketching of the Phoenician inscription. It has 16 lines. And it starts with these separate words, so we can try to read those words. This is the letter mim. This is the letter sh. This is the letter L. This is the letter nun. This is the letter ain. And this letter is similar to this letter. So this is the letter mim. Mesh li noam. Mesh li noam. This is a map of the island of Cyprus, and we can see this is Lapethos here. It is located in the northern part of the island, which is now occupied by the Turks, by Turkey. And the people who built Lapethos were Phoenicians coming from Kition and Idalion, or Kiti and Idil, and these are Kiti and Idil here. And Lapethos is here. Lapethos was known in Phoenician as Lapash, and it is situated, as we said, on the northern Cypriot littoral. Some historical information about Lapethos. Lapethos had different variations of the name, also called Lapethus, or Lapethus, or Lepethis, or Lapithus, was an ancient Cypriot, Phoenician, and Greek town near present-day Lampusa and Karavas in the Turkish-occupied northern Cyprus. The Phoenician Romanized name is Lapash. Ancient Greek name is Lapethos, or Lapithos, or Lepethis, or Lapithos. Again, depends on whether you pronounce the Greek the normal current way of pronunciation, or we use the Erasmus or historical pronunciation of the Greek. So this letter in modern Greek is pronounced as as E, long E. Due to the lack of evidence, researchers had not been sure whether the Phoenician name for the city was Lapta with a tet or Lapat with a tau. Recent findings, such as inscriptions and coins with legend, provide a clear reading of Lapash. So it's the letter Shin, which is the letter that's absent from the Greek alphabet. The foundation of Lapethus was credited to Phoenicians from Kition. Kition is another famous Phoenician colony in Cyprus, and we have made several videos about the famous temple tariff inscription from Kition. Nonnus claimed the name derived from an eponymous Lapethus, a follower of Dionysius. Strabo mentions that it was founded as a Spartan colony headed by Paraxander. He adds that it was situated opposite to the town of Nagidus or Nagidus in Cilicia and possessed a harbor and docks. It was situated in the north of the island on a river of the same name and in a district called Lapithia. The city was known in antiquity for its pottery and earthenware, copper processing, marble quarries, and this inscription is actually inscribed on a marble stone, and its prosperous port and shipyard. The city was also called Lampusa, which means shining, likely due to its wealth and its lighthouse. Some historical information about the inscription. The Larnakas tis Lapitou pedestal inscription, also known as KAI-43 or RES 1211, Répertoire d'épigraphie sémitique 1211, is a 16-line Phoenician language dedication inscribed on a marble statue base from Hellenistic Cyprus, dating to the early Ptolemaic period, circa 278 to 270 BC. It was discovered in 1896 at the ancient site of Larnaca, modern Larnaca, Stis Lapitou, near Lapethos in northern Cyprus by archaeologist Paul Verdrizet during a mission for the École Française d'Athènes in 1896. If it is the École Française, then the name of this guy would be Paul Predrizet. It is engraved on a piece of grayish marble pedestal measuring 43 by 71 centimeters with no surviving statue on top. The original statue likely depicted a figure dedicated to the god Melkart. It is currently housed in the Louvre Department of Oriental Antiquities in Paris under inventory number AM624, though it is not on public display today. Preservation efforts since acquisition have maintained its integrity, with the Phoenician inscription remaining largely legible despite minor surface erosion from age and prior exposure. In the 1890s, the pedestal passed through French academic collections, including initial documentation by scholars like Philippe Berger, who noted risks of local reuse as building material in Cyprus, prompting its relocation to France. It employs Phoenician script incised into the surface, a style emblematic of Hellenistic era epigraphy in Cyprus, and contains no confirmed bilingual components. So this inscription is exclusively in Phoenician. So this is the Phoenician inscription written in the modified Latin alphabet, and this will be the first reading for you of this inscription, which is, as I said, 16 lines. So here we have the first 8 lines. So let us read. First line, Mesh li noam, Hasemel ze, Mesh anichi yaton baal, Rab arts. بن 𤤃𤒃 رب أرس بن عبد اشترت رب أرس بن عبدوسير بن 𤤃𤒃 بن شليم بري كرمل إش ياتونوت لي 𝑓BMQDŠ ملكرت سكر بحييم لشمي بحدش صبح شمش إش بشنات 10 لأدون ملخيم طولمايوش بن أدون ملخيم طولمايوش إش حمت لعم لقت شنت 33 وكوهن لأدون ملخيم عبد اشترت بن 𤤃𤒃 رب أرس بري كرمل بيرح مبع إش بشنات 4 لأدون ملخيم طولمايوش بن أدون ملخيم طولمايوش وبحيي أبي يشيتي بمقدش ملكرت آيت مش بني أبي بنحوشت وبيرح بعلات إش بشنات 5 لأدون ملخيم طولمايوش بن أدون ملخيم طولمايوش بحياة. Again, this is the Phoenician inscription in the modified Latin alphabet, and we continue with the line number 9. I think the previous letter was BHOYE, BHOYE, Abi, Yat. يطاتي ويقدشتي حيات شجيات بقبول شدنرنا لأدون أشلي لملقرت شبات بيعيد حيات ومنعلات قامات عام ومذبحات لأدون أشلي لملقرت عالحياي وعالحياة زرعي يوم مدى يوم وليتسامح صديق وإشتي ولا آدمي بحدشيم وبكسايم يرح مدى يرح عد علام إي قدام مو هدلت هنوحشت زي كتبتي وسمرتي بطير إيش بن منحت حني وبعلت أنيكسي على تمقدش حييم زي عبات بكسب مشقلو كير مئة وشتم ويقدشتي لأدون أشلي لملقرت فقط ونعم يكونوا لي ولزرعي يسكرني ملقرت ويطن لي نعم شوريش. Phoenician inscription using the Hebrew alphabet. This is not Hebrew translation. This is just the Phoenician inscription written in the Hebrew alphabet because with Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint, we don't have the Phoenician alphabet to use. First line, mesh li noam. Second line, hasemel ze mesh anichi yaton baal, rab aretz, ben 𤤃𤐤𝑃 رب أرتس بن عبد اشترت رب أرتس بن عبدوسير بن 𤤃𤐤𝑃 بن شليم بري كرمل إيش يطنط لي 𝑓BMQDŠ ملكرت سكر بحييم لشمي. Line number 4 بحدش ذبح شمش أو ذبح شمش إيش بشنات 10 لأدون ملخيم طولمايوش إيش همت لعملقت شنات 33 وكهن لأدون ملخيم عب اشترت بن اشترت رب أرتس بري كرمل وبيرح مقع إيش بشنات 4 لأدون ملخيم طولمايوش بن أدون ملخيم طولمايوش. This is line 7. وبحياة أبي يشيتي بمقدش ملكرت أيت مش بني أبي بنحوشت بيرح. Number 8 فعلت إيش بشنات 5 لأدون ملخيم طولمايوش بن أدون ملخيم طولمايوش بحياة. Phoenician inscription using the Hebrew alphabet continued. So we have here line 9 to line 16, and line 8 ended with بحياة أبي يطاتي ويقدشتي حيات شجيات بقبول شدنرنا لأدون أشلي لملقرت وشبات بعيد ها حيات ومنعلات قامات عام مذبحات لأدون أشلي لملقرت عالحياي وعالحياة زرعي يوم مدى يوم وليتسامح صديق وإشتي ولي آدمي BİHODEŞİM, BİKOSEİM, 𤅅𝐤𝐷 𝐼𝑙𝑜M 𝐾𝐠𝐻𝑑𝐿𝑡 𝐻𝑛ُحُوشت كتبتي وسمرتي بقير إيش بن منحت حني فعلتي أنيخي علت ها مقدش حيمزة عيبوت بكسف مشقلو كير مئة وشتم ويقدشتي لأدون إشلي لي بالقرط فوق ونعم يكون لي ولا زرعي يسكرني من القرط ويطن لي نعم شريش. An English translation. Line 1, effigy for a good fortune. Line 2, this statue is my effigy, YTNBꟲL, Chief Magistrate, son of GR:ŠTRT, Chief Magistrate, son of 𝑓DSR, Chief Magistrate, son of 𝑓DOSIR. Third line, son of GR:ŠTRT, fruit of Carmel, which I set up for myself in the sanctuary of Melkart as a memorial among the living, to bring good fortune for my name. Line 4. In the new moon of the sacrifice of the sun, in the 11th year of the Lord of Kings Ptolemy, son of the Lord of Kings Ptolemy. Line 5. Which is the 33rd year of the people of Lapethos, and the priest to the Lord of Kings was Astarte, son of GR:ŠTRT. Chief Magistrate, line 6, fruit of Carmel, and in the month of Moppa, in the 4th year of the Lord of Kings, Ptolemy, son of the Lord of Kings, line 7, Ptolemy. In the lifetime of my father, I placed in the sanctuary of Melkart the effigy of the face of my father in bronze, and in the months, line 8, Paalot, in the year 5th of the Lord of Kings Ptolemy, son of the Lord of Kings Ptolemy, in the lifetime. Here I'm just going to mention fruit of Carmel. So this inscription, which was not clearly visible, but some scholars say that it meant fruit of Carmel. So I'm putting it in brackets, so just so that you know that this could be the right translation or inscription, but there is some questions about whether it really meant fruit of Carmel or not. So that's why I mentioned it's in brackets. An English translation continued. So with the line 9, the line before it was in the life of 9 of my father, I gave the consecrated roaming beasts in the borders of the plain of Narnaka to the Lord who is mine, Melkart. Line 10, that by the voluntary coming of the beasts, allocation might be made for the establishment of the people and of the altars of mine own Lord Melkart. On behalf of my life and on behalf of the life of my seed, day by day, and for the legitimate shoot and for his wife and his folk. Line 12, to be serviced on the new moons and on full moons, months by months, forever as aforetime, in accordance with the tablet of bronze. Line 13, which I wrote and nailed to the wall, which is there as a gift of my supplication. And I made above, line 14, the sanctuary of the living, a winged disk of silver, weighing 102 kir, and I dedicated it to the Lord of mine. Line 15, Melkart. May I and my seed have profit and good fortune, and may Melkart remember me. 16, and grant me the good fortune of a stock. A French translation. Effigie de bonne fortune. Cette image est ma statue personnelle, YTNBꟲL, puissant de la terre, fils de GR:STRT, puissant de la terre, fils de 𝑚LQRT, puissant de la terre, fils de 𝑚LQRT, fils de GR:STRT, fils de 𝐤𝐿IM, pluie du Carmel, que j'ai dressé pour moi dans le sanctuaire de Midgard, comme bon souvenir parmi les vivants, pour mon nom, à la néoménie du mois du sacrifice du soleil, qui est de la 11e année du Seigneur des rois Ptolémée, qui est l'an 33 d'après l'ère de Lapethos. Il était prêtre du Seigneur des rois, 𝑚LQRT, fils de GR:STRT, puissant de la terre. Et au mois de Moppa, de l'an 4 du Seigneur des rois Ptolémée, fils du Seigneur des rois Ptolémée, du vivant de mon père, j'ai fait poser l'ex-voto en bronze de mon père dans le temple de Midgard. Et au mois de Paalot de l'an 5 du Seigneur des rois Ptolémée, du vivant de mon père, j'ai apporté ici et j'ai voué de nombreuses bêtes errantes à mon Seigneur Midgard dans les frontières de la campagne de Narnaka. The French translation continued. Que par la venue volontaire des bêtes, des allocations puissent être faites pour l'établissement du peuple et pour les autels de mon propre Seigneur Midgard. Pour ma vie et pour la vie de ma descendance, jour par jour, et pour le rejeton légitime et son épouse et son peuple. Aux néoménies et à la pleine lune, mois par mois, comme auparavant et à jamais, conformément à la tablette de bronze que j'ai écrite et clouée sur le mur, et qui est une partie de mon don amical. Et j'ai fait au-dessus du sanctuaire des vivants ce disque ailé en bronze pesant 102 kir, et je l'ai consacré à mon Seigneur Midgard. Que le salut et le bon vouloir échoient en partage à moi et à ma semence, et puisse Midgard se souvenir de moi et de m'accorder la bonne fortune d'une racine. An Arabic translation. رمز للخير والبركة. هذا التمثال هو تمثالي الشخصي YTNBऽYL جبار الأرض ابن GR:شترت جبار الأرض ابن عبد جبار الأرض ابن عبدوسير ابن GR:شترت ابن شليم ثمرة الكرمل الذي نصبته لنفسي في قدس ملقرت تذكارا حسنا لاسمي بين الأحياء في شهر ذبيحة الشمس وهو السنة 11 من حكم بطليموس سيد الملوك وهي السنة 33 لشعب لابيثوس. كان كاهنا لسيد الملوك �عبد-اشترت ابن GR:شترت جبار الأرض وفي شهر مباع من السنة 4 لسيد الملوك بطليموس ابن سيد الملوك بطليموس في حياة والدي وضعت نذرا برونزيا لوالدي في معبد ملقرت وفي شهر بَعَالوت من السنة 5 لسيد الملوك بطليموس وفي حياة والدي أحضرت إلى هنا وقدمت العديد من الحيوانات الهائمة لسيد ملقرت من داخل حدود ريف نارناكا. An Arabic translation continued. أن ييسر بالمجيء الطوعي للحيوانات الهائمة إقامة القوم ومذابح سيدي ملقرت من أجل حياتي وحياة ذريتي يوما بعد يوم ومن أجل ولي عهد الشرعي وزوجته وقومه عند ظهور الهلال وفي اكتمال البدر شهرا بعد شهر كما في السابق وإلى الأبد وفقا للوح البرونزي الذي كتبته وثبته على الجدار وهو جزء من هديتي الودية. وقد صنعت أعلاه في مزار الأحياء هذا القرص البرونزي المجنح الذي يزن 102 كير وقد أهديته لسيدي ملقرت فليحل علي وعلى ذريتي النجاة والخير وليذكرني ملقرت ويرزقني بحظ مشرش. A Greek translation of this inscription. So since this inscription was found in Cyprus, I thought I'll make a Greek translation, a modern Greek translation of this inscription. And this would read, Eikona kalis tichis. Αυτή η εικόνα είναι το προσωπικό μου αγάλμα, ο YTNBꟲL δυνατός της γης, Υιός του ꫤRαστRT, δυνατός της γης, Υιός του 𝓵ΔαστRT, δυνατός της γης, Υιός του 𝓵Δοσύρ, Υιός του ꫤRαστRT, Υιού του 𝐻𝐿IM, καρπός του καρμίλου, που εστίσα για τον εαυτό μου στο ιερό του 𝐤𝐿 ως καλό μνημείο μεταξύ των ζωντανών για το όνομα μου. Τον μήνα της Βυσσιάς του ηλιού, που είναι το 11ο έτος του άρχοντα των βασιλέων Πτολεμαίου, που είναι το 33 έτος της εποχής των Λαπηθών, ήταν ιερέας του Κυρίου των βασιλέων, 𝓵ΔαστRT, Υιού του ꫤRαστRT, δυνατός της γης. Και τον μήνα μοπά του 4 έτους του Κυρίου των βασιλέων Πτολεμαίου, Υιού του Κυρίου των βασιλέων Πτολεμαίου, κατά τη διάρκεια της ζωής του πατέρα μου. Τοποθετήσα το χάλκινο ανάθημα του πατέρα μου, τον ναό του 𝐤𝐿 και τον μήνα του πάλωτ του 5 έτους του Κυρίου των βασιλέων Πτολεμαίου, κατά τη διάρκεια της ζωής του πατέρα μου. Έφερα εδώ και αφιερώσα πολλά αδέσποτα ζώα στον Κύριο μου 𝐤𝐿, εντός των ορίων της υπαίθρου Ναρνακά. A Greek translation. Line 9. Για να γίνουν με την πρόσημη έλευση των θηρίων προσαρμογές για την εγκατάσταση του λαού και για τους βωμούς του δικού μου Κυρίου 𝐤𝐿. Για τη ζωή μου και για τη ζωή των απογόνων μου, μέρα με τη μέρα, και για τους νομίμους απογόνους και τη σειρό του και τον λαό του. Τις νέες σελήνες και την Πανσελήνο, μήνας με το μήνας, όπως πριν, και για πάντα σύμφωνα με την χάλκινη πλάκα, που έχω γραφεί και καρφώσει στον τοίχο, και η οποία είναι μέρος του φιλικού μου δώρου και έχω τυλάξει πάνω. Το ιερό των ζωντανών αυτών τον τερωτό χαλκινό δίσκο βαρούς 102 κυρ και τον έχω αφιερώσει τον Κύριο μου Μιλκάρτα. Είδε η σωτηρία και η καλή θέληση να πέσουν πάνω μου και τους απογόνους μου και είδε ο Μιλκάρτ να με διμάται και να μου χαρίσει την καλή τύχη μιας ρίζας. One of my subscribers asked me to talk a bit about the Phoenician numbers. So we have some examples in this inscription of the Phoenician numbers or numerals. So I thought I'll just talk about this in this slide. So in Phoenician, so number 1 is like the Roman number 1. It's with this straight line here. So number 1, 1 straight line. Number 2 is 2 straight lines, like in capital I. Or the Roman numeral number 1, Roman number 2, number 3. And then number 4 is 3 lines with this non-vertical line here. Number 5 is 3 lines plus 2 lines separated by some small distance. Number 6 is 3 lines followed by 3 lines like this. Number 7 is a set of 3 lines followed by a set of 3 lines and a single line. Number 8 is 3 lines followed by 3 lines followed by 2 lines. So 3 sets, 3, 3 plus 2. And then number 9 is represented by 3 sets of 3 lines like this. Number 10 has this sign, which is present in this inscription, and I'll show it to you at the end of this presentation. Number 11 is usually this line, which represents 10, and then this line is for 11. If you want to make 12, then it would be this symbol plus you add those symbols, symbol for 10, and then you can add so 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So this symbol plus those other symbols. And then number 20 is represented either by 2 of those symbols for 10 or this symbol, which is similar to the Latin letter H. So number 30 would be this letter 20 plus 10, so 20 plus 10. Number 40 would be 20 plus 20, so those 2 letters. Number 90, so be 4 of these, so 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 10, number 10. Number 100 is this symbol here, usually, and this is the symbol that's present in our inscription, and I will include it at the end of the presentation. Number 200 is this one. Number 1000 is this symbol. We don't have symbols for 10,000 or 20,000. They might have been written in just complete letters. So you can say this symbol, they represent the number or the numeral by its symbol or by saying number 1, had, shtem, shalosh, arva, hamesh, shesh, sheva, shmone, tesa. So you can write them in letters or you can write them in symbols. So that's all for Phoenician numerals. Phoenician months. In this slide and the following one, I'm going to talk about the Phoenician months, and we have the opportunity in this inscription to have 3 months of the 12 months mentioned. And this work is, for those 2 slides, is based mainly on the book of my friend Amin Slimani, Learn Phoenician and Punic. So let us start with the Phoenician months. So the Phoenician first month is the month of YTNB:YM, which is the first month of the year corresponding to October in modern day Lebanese, based on the Babylonian calendar, is called Tishrin al-Awwal. The second month of the year is the month of Bull, transliteration Bull, second month of the year corresponding to modern day November, أو Tishrin al-Thani in Lebanese. The month of MirPa'im, the third month of the year corresponding to December. December is Kanun al-Awwal in Lebanese. The month of Pagrim, transliteration Pagrim, is the fourth month of the year corresponding to January, Kanun al-Thani. The month of fifth month of the year is the month of Pa'alot, and this month appears in this inscription. Transliteration Pa'alot is the fifth month of the year corresponding to February. And February in modern day Lebanese is the month of Shbat. The sixth month of the year is the month of Hiyar, transliteration Hiyar. 6 months of the year corresponding to the months of March. Hiyar, Adar, or Adar, the fifth month of the, the 6 months of the year. Phoenician months of the year continued. The 7th month of the year is the month of Zib, or in Hebrew, Ziv. Transliteration Zib, 7th month of the year corresponding to the month of April, which is Nisan in the Babylonian calendar. The month of Matun is the 8th month of the year, corresponding to the month of May. May is Ayar. The 9th month of the year, which is the current month, is the month of 𝐻𝐵 or 𝐻𝐵. Is the 9th month of the year, corresponding to the month of June, Huzairan. The 10th month of the year is the month of Kirar. 10th month of the year, corresponding to the month of July. July is Tammuz in the Babylonian calendar. The 11th month of the year is the month of Mopalipane, or the months before or in front of the months of Mopa. Pane is in face of. It's the 11th month of the year, corresponding to the month of August, Ab. The 12th month of the year is the month of Mopa, and the month of Mopa and the month of 𝐻𝐵 appear in this inscription. Transliteration Mopa, the 12th and final month of the year, corresponding to the month of September. Some Phoenician grammar from this inscription. We have the verb katabti, is a qal verb in the past tense, first person singular, in the strong form, which means I wrote. Katabti, I wrote. A similar verb is the verb sammarti. It's a qal verb, past tense, first person singular, strong form, I nailed. So katabti, I wrote, and sammarti, I nailed. Yatati, qal verb, past tense, first person singular, strong form, I placed. So similar to those two previous verbs, the verb yatati. So katabti, I wrote. Sammarti, I nailed. Yatati, I placed. 𤐤𝐃𝐤𝐃𝐤𝐿 is a 𝐸𝐵 verb, first person singular, strong form, and it means he dedicated, he blessed. 𝐤𝐃𝐤𝐃 is a 𝐸𝐵 verb. 𝐸𝐃𝐃, so the fifth example in this inscription is 𝐸𝐃𝐃 is a 𝐸𝐵 verb again, first person singular, strong form, I made to be placed. 𝐸𝐃𝐃. 𝐤𐤃𝐤𝐃 is another YTNB::L verb. Six, we have فقط ونعم يكونوا لي. May good fortune and prosperity be mine. Expressive, the adjussive optative. Moods expressing wishes, commands, and requests with the subject-verb order. So we have here فقط ونعم يكونوا لي. So these are the so we have the subject, يكونوا the verb, and لي the object, which is my person. So subject, verb, object order. And we have the same formula here. يذكرني من القرط ويعطن لي نعم شريش. يذكرني, the verb, so remember me من القرط and grant me a good stock, expressing again the adjussive optative with, we have here يذكرني is the verb, من القرط is the subject, and لي is the object of the verb. So here we have a verb subject order. So we can have in a subject verb order, or we can have a verb subject order with the adjussive and optative form of the Phoenician verb. So this is some grammar from the inscription, mainly talking about verbs. Some Phoenician grammar adverbial expressions of time. First expression that we learned from this inscription is yom midday yom. Yom midday yom, literally day by day or day after day or simply daily. Yerah midday yerah, second expression, yerah midday yerah, months by months or months after months or simply monthly. Ad olam, always like in Hebrew ad olam, which means forever, or in Syriac العلوم علمين, which means also for forever. Qadam, like in the ancient practice. To be differentiated from qadmot is noun feminine, which means early morning, like in Aramaic, or a kind of animal offered in sacrifice. Another expression of time is bihudeshim or bikesoim. Bihudeshim or bikesoim, which means in the new moons and full moons. Of note here is that Shanat appeared in this inscription, which means year, with the aspirated noon expressed as Shanat. The noon was not absent but present in this Cypriot dialect instead of the usual absence of shanat, which turned into shat. So in this inscription, the noon was expressed like in Hebrew. Some Phoenician vocabulary from this inscription. I've decided to share with you only a few words and expressions from this inscription. The first one I've chosen today is the word or the expression hayot shagiyot. Hayot is a noun feminine and plural. Transliteration hayot. English translation wild living animals. Transliteration for the second word is shagiyot. English translation roaming scattered. In Aramaic, it means many or multitude, but we're not dealing with Aramaic here, we're dealing with Phoenician. A similar word in Arabic is shaqi. ولد شقي لا يهدأ في مكان واحد, which means a very active child that does not sit still or stand still in one place, keep moving all over the place. The second word that I'm going to talk about is the word gubul. It's a noun masculine. Transliteration gubul. English translation border or boundary. Territory of a city-state. District of a city. It does not mean mountain. Mountain in Phoenician and Hebrew is har. Transliteration is har. Jabal in Arabic means mountain. So this is just to prove to some don't want to say friends, but some people who attacked me when I corrected them on Facebook for a post in which they mentioned that the letter Gimel in Phoenician comes from Jabal, which means mountain, the mountain of God, and it doesn't mean camel neck like in Hebrew, because the Phoenicians didn't have camels, and like the Bedouin inferior race Hebrews. Anyway, I don't want to go through all that discussion. When I tried to correct those people, they mocked me and uh, disrespected me. But I have proven to them that the word for mountain is har, and it's actually present in a very famous Phoenician inscription, which is the inscription of the uh, King Eshmunazar of Sidon, which I have actually discussed in on this YouTube channel of mine. And I've decided also to discuss the letter Gimel, and there'll be a section in this video presentation to talk about the letter Gimel and how it changed over the years. Anyway, the third expression is the Shad Narnak. It's a expression of location. Transliteration, Shad Narnak. English translation, the plain of Narnaka or Larnaca. It's a region of Narnaka in Cyprus. Ha-ne-nuhushet. Ha-nuhushet is a noun masculine. English translation, the bronze. Ha is the definite article in Phoenician. Nehoshet or nuhushet is the bronze. Nehoshet in Phoenician, Nehoshet in Hebrew. Minahit, Hanni. Minahit is noun feminine. Transliteration of Minahit. English translation, gift, grant, offering. Minha in Arabic. Transliteration of the second word is Hanni. English translation, my benefaction, my grace, my favor. So Minahit Hanni means the offering of my grace or my favor or my benefaction. The sixth expression is Paqat u'Nu'am. Paqat u'Nu'am. Transliteration. Paqat, English translation, acquisitions, wealth. Transliteration of the second word is Nu'am. English translation, goodness, excellence, good things, benefaction, prosperity. So similar to the Arabic word iftiqadun wa nu'amun. Iftiqad. Paqat. Paqat. Paqat. Wa nu'am. ولسماح صديق is a noun expression. Transliteration, ولسماح صديق. English translation, legitimate son, heir apparent to the throne. So, لسماح صديق, that is the apparent heir to the throne, or in Arabic we would say ولي العهد. Number 8, 𝐊𝐵, noun expression. Transliteration, 𝐊𝐵. English translation, during the lifetime of my father. In Lebanese, we have an expression in my home village. So when someone dies, we say حياة أبي. So when my father was alive, referring to my father when he was alive. وبحياة أبي, during the lifetime of my father, or حياة أبي or حياة أمي, talking about when my father was alive. And still an expression used and even in my home village. The Phoenician letter Gimel and its origins. First origin is the Proto-Sinaitic Circa 1800 to 1500 BC. The letter's meaning was a throw stick, likely pronounced as Gaml or Giml in Canaanite. Hence the acrophonic principle of the sound G. A picture of a blue glazed throwing stick of Akhenaton, circa 1353-1336 BC, from the Egyptian Museum is shown to you here. So this is how the initial 𝐷 letter would look like when it was taken from the hieroglyphic symbols. Second, the Proto-Canaanite, circa 1500 to 1200 BC, it was a simplified linear form like this. The name 𝐷, meaning still throwing stick. The pictograph becomes more linear and less pictorial, so linear like this one. In the Ugaritic language, the letter written inscribed as this symbol here, and the sound was g, like the Egyptian gimel. It wasn't j, it's g. In the Phoenician era, circa 10,050 to 800 BC, the form was like this. The name Gimel, old meaning mostly forgotten. And you can see here how it looks like a camel's neck. And the Phoenicians, by the way, they had camels because they also had uh, uh, routes for their caravans to go through the deserts with their inland commercial trips. For in early Hebrew, Paleo-Hebrew, circa 900 to 700 BC, the form became like this one here. Name Gimel, meaning interpretation camel, letter similar to the camel's neck. So this is how it's folk etymology and not the initial meaning of the name, because the initial meaning was a throwing stick. And here it looked like a camel's neck, so, and it's Gimel, and that's the name of the camel, so in Hebrew and Phoenician. So, and then people said it looks like a camel's neck, and it's Gimel, so it is folk etymology. And there is nothing wrong with that. In the Aramaic period, circa 700 to 200 BC, and then in Syriac from the 1st to the 8th century AD, this is the form of the letter Gimel, and the name becomes Gamal. Gamal. In Nabatean Aramaic, at the origin of the Arabic script, from 100 BC to 400 AD, so the Nabatean Aramaic, the form was a bit different from this one. And I couldn't get it for you to review, but you can look it up. Then in quadratic Hebrew, the square Hebrew script, the block style from the form of the Hebrew alphabet, the letter Gimel, written as like this, emerged from the Aramaic script and was adopted after the Babylonian exile from the 5th century BC until now. The Greek letter Gimel or Gamma or Gamma from 800 BC again was taken from the Gimel, the Phoenician letter Gimel, and the name Gamma borrowed from Gimel, meaning purely phonetic. So it doesn't have any meaning, so just phonetic. So the Phoenicians used to say G, and then the Greek took it, and it's Gamma or Gamma. In Latin, circa 600 to 200 BC, the letter K changed they added this line here and changed it to G, created by adding the stroke to distinguish the sound G from the sound G. We know that this is always in Latin, in Old Latin meant or was pronounced as G. And so then they added this stroke here to make it the G. And we know that in also on Old Latin, the G were pronounced always as G, not J. And the meaning was also purely phonetic. In Arabic, circa to 10th century AD. This is how the letter 𝐻 became written. And there was a sound shift from G to J, depending on region. So we know that most Arabic countries pronounce it as 𝐻, but some countries like Egypt and Yemen still pronounce it as G. Gamal Abdel Nasser, for example, or Jamal Abdel Nasser. So in Arabic, from 6th to 10th century, the letter had a sound shift from G to J. And that's the story of the letter Gimel. Some general comments about this inscription. The Ptolemaic king mentioned here is likely to be Ptolemy II Philadelphus, son of Ptolemy I Soter, who ruled from 284 to 246 BC. The Ptolemaic conquest of Cyprus began under Ptolemy I Soter, who secured control of the island by 294 BC. During the early reign of Ptolemy II, particularly year 11, that is circa 275 BC, the Lapethos site underscored the dynasty's policy of tolerant integration, fostering loyalty among diverse populations while advancing royal ideology. YTNB:AL's gifts highlight elite Phoenician piety, blending traditional Levantine elements with local adaptations. A statue of himself as a votive image and memorial of his name among the living for perpetual commemoration, a bronze votive image of his father dedicated while alive, the consecration of roaming beasts within Narnaka's sacred territory, along with silver items weighing 102 shekels, as recorded on a nailed bronze plaque to ensure ongoing monthly offerings on new and full moons for the cult, his family, and Ptolemaic heirs. The dedication illustrates cultural hybridity in Hellenistic Cyprus, where YTNB:AL's Phoenician family held Ptolemaic administrative offices, the district officer, a hereditary role in the Narnaka region, while likely his brother 𝐵DSR, son of GRʻŠTRT, served as a priest to Ptolemy during the year 33 dedication, that is 274 BC. The Phoenicians of Cyprus remained Phoenicians during the Hellenistic Ptolemaic period, maintaining their religion, language, and culture, although with some concessions by recognizing the new ruler, Ptolemy, and by adding him somehow into their pantheon of gods, yet maintaining the primacy of their gods, in this instance, the god 𝑚LKRT, the famous god of Tyre, hence assuring the perennity of the Phoenician identity. Some general comments on the Phoenician cause. I have recently been involved in responding to some false unscientific posts on social media about the Phoenicians, as I had already mentioned before in this video presentation. There appears to be an effort to idealize and embellish the Phoenicians to a degree that would actually betray the Phoenician identity, religion, and culture. In my opinion, history is somehow sacred because it remains untouchable. We cannot go back in time to change it. Attempting to change it by not being truthful to it amounts to violating it, which is a great treason. In my video presentations across multiple inscriptions over more than a decade and a half, I kind of became close to my ancestors, the Phoenicians. I feel like the last Phoenician, like in the movie The Last Crusader, protecting the Holy Phoenician Grail. I cannot keep silent when I hear and read falsehood and fabrications about my people. Phoenicians were human beings just like us, not superheroes, not gods, and not monotheistic like their neighbors in the south, the Hebrews. They were pagans and their morality was based on their pagan beliefs. The Phoenicians were not the Hebrews, and the Hebrews were not the Phoenicians. Sorry, Mr. 𝐀𐤃𤐤𝐌𐤌. You know, the Carthaginians were not Hebrews, they were Phoenicians. Although both were living in the land of Canaan and were speaking Canaanite sister languages, Phoenician and Biblical Hebrew. The Phoenicians lived in peace with their southern neighbors. They were allies at the time of Hiram of Tyre and David and Solomon in Jerusalem, and later on with the two kingdoms of Israel and Judah. They had great influence on each other, as clearly stated and attested in the Bible, both in the Old and the New Testaments. The borders Kubulim between the two nations changed over the centuries, as I mentioned in previous videos. Ashkelon, near modern-day Tel Aviv, was at one time during the Persian era a Phoenician city. Our Lord Jesus Christ was not a Phoenician, as some of my Lebanese compatriots pretended. He and his family were Jews, together with all the apostles and their disciples. This is a fact, and it does not diminish in any way my ancestors, the Phoenicians, who were among the first believers in the Christian faith outside of Israel. Sadly, those unreal posts are read by thousands, whereas only a couple of hundred people watch my videos. It is sad that people opt not to hear the truth and would rather listen to myths and fake stories. At last, I dare say, I have become so close to those who inscribed this and other Phoenician inscriptions to the degree that those ancestors have become friends and family from across the millennia. Their blood runs in my veins and their genes are in every cell of my body. I have become one of them and I cannot but defend them. I am proud of who they were and I am with them in their weaknesses and strengths. No one is perfect, only God is. Yet we should all continue to strive to become as perfect as possible, as preached by our Lord Jesus Christ. There is no superior race or inferior race. We are all sons of Adam and Eve. And as my beloved grandmother, God rest her soul, used to say, كل الناس يا تيتا هن خير وبركة. All people are good and a blessing. And we should all strive to live in peace and in dignity. Phoenician inscription as written by me, lines 1 to 8. So this is the final reading of this inscription, and it reads, so this is Phoenician inscription as written by me, KAI-43, circa 275 BC. First line, Mesh li Noam. Second line, הסמל זה מש אניחי יתון בעל רב ארץ בן עבד עשתרתה רב ארץ בן עבדו סיר. Third line, בן גרעשתרתה בן שלים פרי כרמל איש יתונות לי ובמקדש מלכרת סיקר BHYM LŠMY. Line 4, بحدش زبح شمش بشنات عسر أحد. So this is for my the friend who requested the Phoenician number. So this is how we write 11. So this is the line for 10, and this is 1. عسر أحد لأدون ملخيم طولمايوش بن أدون ملخيم طولمايوش. إيش همت لعم لقط. So this is line 5. Shanat, this is 20, this is 10, and this is 3. So this is year 33. Ishanat, Shanat Shloshim Ushalosh. وكهن لأدون ملخيم عبد عشترته بن GR'ШTRT رب أرض بري كرمل بحدش مبع 𝑓 this is how we write 4 4 لأدون ملخيم طولمايوس بن أدون ملخيم طولمايوس. That's letter number 7 line. وبحياة أبي يشيتي بمقدش ميلكارت آية مش بني أبي بنحوشات وبيراح فعلات إيش بشنات. This is how we write 5 حماش لأدون ملخيم طولمايوس بن أدون ملخيم طولمايوس بحياة. Phoenician inscription as written by me from lines 9 to 16. And these red signs here are the vowels to help us read this inscription. Line 9 أبي يطاتي ويقدشتي حيات شجيات بقبول شدنرنك لأدون إشلي لملقرت. Line 10 وشابات بعيد حيات ومنعلات قامات عام ومذبحات لأدون إشلي لملقرت. على الحياة وعلى الحياة زرعي يوم مدى يوم ولا مح تصديق ولا إشتي ولا أدمي. That's سماح تصديق ولا إشتي ولا أدمي. This is line 11. Line 12 بحداشيم وبكيسوعيم يوم مدى يوم عد علام كي قدام كما هدلت هنوحشت. So this is line 12. Line 13 زي كتبتي وسمرتي بقير إيش بن منحت حني وفعلتي أنيخي على هميقدش number 14 هميقدش حييم زي عبات بكسب مشقلو كير مئة وشتم. So this is how they wrote here مئة. So this is the sign for 100. And they used wow and they used they use the numeral 2. So مئة وشتم. ويقدشتي لأدون number 15 إشلي لملقرت. فقط ونعم يكونوا لي ولا زرعي يسكرني ملقرت number 16 ويطن لي نعم شوريش. Sikhek mea presentatio finitur. And these are my references for this presentation. Thank you for watching and see you next time.